Hashem Yahushua, Hashem Kakadash. We good. Shalom, it's the brother Kadash. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles like Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and honors, and truth. Peace, blessings, and honors to all the brothers in this truth. Alright, so come in, let's talk more about prophecy. The chariots of Israel, the UFOs, so-called UFOs today are a part of prophecy because that's going to be a part of the return of Yahushua, the son of Yahweh, and it's going to be the salvation of Israel. So I just wanted to go through and actually pull some scriptures that talks about these chariots. I've been watching lately sometime just to do like a little research kind of. I'll watch Ancient Aliens. And, they're trying to figure out what these things are, if they're star people, if they're the gods and stuff like that. They're trying to figure out what are these discs, what are these UFOs, and it's a big mystery to the world. But to us, it's as simple as day. We know exactly what they are because these so-called UFOs have been around since the beginning of time. They always been around. That's why if you go back to different civilizations, you go back to the ancient Egyptians and stuff like that, even past them, Sumerians and stuff like that. You could see within a culture, Aztecs, Mayans, you could see within their culture, they always depict almost like a sky god that comes on a vehicle that's coming to, to do whatever, but you could always see it in their paintings and their pictures, and people always ask, what are these? What is that? And even today, you just had the Pentagon come out with, they released a video of a chariot, of a so-called UFO. So these things have been around. There's been many of them. NASA covers up a lot of them, So these is fact. There's been many of them because this is a very real thing. This is a part of it. People always ask, what are these? Are there little green aliens in there? No. They're angels. And if you just read the Bible, then you will know exactly what they are, So I'm going to start off with this. This is 2 Thessalonians. It says, Shalom, this is the NASA feed. So this is the feed that they got up there in space. The little area that's kind of blurred out was like a little area that they had blurred out to try to kind of hide this chariot. And the thing that you see that's like a circle, like a wheel, like it says in Ezekiel 1, like a wheel inside a wheel to a T. It's supposed to be a chariot, but what the world would call a UFO. And then over here to the left, the thing that has, it's light on one side and then it's dark on the other side and it's a circle. That's supposed to be Earth. You got Earth, you got the sun beaming off one side and the other side dark. And then where the yellow little circle at is circling, indicating to a UFO, a gigantic UFO chariot that was making its way to the Earth, and through faith, we believe this, until we see the real thing come here, but it's coming soon. I'm going to start at verse 7 and just get straight to the point. It says, until you who are troubled rest with us, when the Lord Yahushua shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels. So he's going to be revealed with his mighty angels, kind of throwing away the ideal of an angel being a baby with wings, an angel being a woman with wings. No, he said his mighty angel. These are mighty, strong angels that's going to come back to war, to fight. Verse 8 gives you more context on that. It says, in flaming fire taking vengeance on them that know not God and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahushua. So is the Lord coming back with babies with wings to take vengeance and babies are going to be fighting people? No, these are big, strong. They look like man because remember Jacob wrestled the man, but the man was an angel. But it referred to him as a man because they look like men. They may be bigger, stronger, and more mightier, but they could come in different appearances, but they come also in the appearance of what you call a dark-skinned man. Look up, there was an old retired military personal, I believe, and he said that he had seen them. He said the aliens looked like they were like 8 foot, 10 foot, but they looked like real big, dark black men. You can look that up on Google yourself, you know. Here, let me jump back. So it says Yahweh Shai is going to come with mighty angels to take vengeance, you know, which goes into Acts 1. Acts chapter 1, it says, verse 10, it says, verse 9, and it says, when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up in a cloud, received them out their sight. So when you talk about in the scriptures, which we're going to prove this, when it says a cloud received them, this ain't talking about mist and vapor, just received them. There's actually a vehicle in that cloud. You know, these UFOs, chariots, they cloak themselves, you know, until they want to be seen. Just like when you get in Egypt, the chariot, the UFO that led the Israelites out was a flame of fire by night, a pillar of fire by night, and it was a cloud by day. So whenever it'd go up, then they'd know to move. Whenever it'd rest on the mountains, then they'd know it's time to rest. What cloud do you know could be controlled that way and just do that? A vapor and mist. No, there's actually a vehicle in that cloud, you know. So when it says a cloud received him, that's talking about a chariot. What you call a UFO, he went up and the chariot, the UFO received him, you know. And it says, and while they looked steadfastly towards heaven, as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel. So you got these 2 men, just random 2 men. You got all these men out here, and then you got these random 2 men that they obviously could tell was different from the rest of the men still with white apparel. Who were they? Those are the angels. Those are the angels. They came in white apparel and they looked just like men. See, it's the proof out the scriptures. I don't have to really go all around to this internet stuff and this other book and that book. I can get it right here from the Bible. It tells you. All you gotta do is read it. A lot of people don't really read it. You know, they read just Paul's writings, but they don't read the whole thing, you know. It says, verse 11, which also said, ye men of Gilead, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahweh Shai, which was taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go. So the same way he went up into a chariot, he's going to come back by coming down out a chariot. This is Revelation chapter 1, which gives you more detail on it. See, and this is how the whole Bible connects, because we're going to go Old Testament, New Testament, we're going to go all over the Bible, because it all connects. You know, you read the whole thing. You know, Revelation chapter 1, let's get straight to the point. Verse 7, it says, behold, he cometh with the clouds, and every eye shall see him. See, the same way he went up into the cloud and received him, he's coming with the clouds. But we've just seen in 2 Thessalonians to say he's coming back with his mighty angels to get vengeance. So we know Revelation 1, if you connect it, what does it mean when it says he's coming with the clouds? It means that he's coming with mighty angels. But the clouds, these things are referring to the vehicles that they're coming. It is talking about chariots, which means vehicle. So it's talking about what the world calls UFOs that he's coming back with. And every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. Verse 8, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord, which is and which is was and which is to come, the Almighty. So that gives you context on who is actually talking about right there. It's talking about, you know, the Almighty that's coming. Talking about the Almighty, and they come in chariots. You know, you see the chariots, and you just say, well, if we have been visited by aliens, what are they doing? Are they just visiting us? What do they want? Why haven't they made contact? Because they're not necessarily here to just make contact with us until the time comes. So that's why it says no man knows the day. No man knows the day. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, the Lord is going to come back in like a thief in the night. No man knows the day, because during that time, that's when they're going to reveal themselves. Just like 2 Thessalonians 1 that I just read says, when the Lord, Yahweh Shai from heaven, should be revealed. It's not time for him to reveal himself. That's why they haven't made contact yet. But there is going to be a time that they're going to reveal themselves. And a lot of people are looking for that day. When will the aliens reveal themselves? Trust me, you don't want that day. You don't want to see when they reveal themselves, because when they do reveal themselves, they're coming with vengeance to destroy. And this is a very real thing. You know, so they're coming in chariots, and that's when he's going to be revealed. This is Zechariah chapter 5. Before I lost my thought, what it's saying is like what the chariots are doing now. So sometimes some people see them, bump into them and stuff like that. Say, well, what are they doing? Why don't they just make contact? Well, what they're doing right now is they're going to and fro through the earth. Just meaning they're going all around the earth, and they're playing almost like they're like Yahweh Shai's eyes, Yahweh's eyes. Through Yahweh Shai inherit all things. Hebrews chapter 1, Colossians chapter 1. But the thing is like they're playing almost like satellites, almost like they're the eyes of the Lord. They go to and fro through the earth, and they're just watching stuff. They're watching stuff. They're taking note of stuff. They're taking it back to the Lord. So that's why you see them just roaming, kind of minding their business, and then they get up out of there and they don't turn around and fight because it's not that time yet. They haven't set the date for them. The Lord hasn't told them, go ahead and reveal yourself and fight. It's not that time yet. So right now what they're doing is they're just keeping track of things, reporting it back to the Lord. That's what a lot of people say, well, they must just be watching us. Yes, you're right. If you come with that sentiment, then yeah, you would be right. Here, let me see if I can find that. In Revelations 4. And then the angel talk. Okay, so this is Zechariah. He's talking to the angel, and he's asking him to break down this parable. Right? This is it right here. It says, verse 10 says, "For who has despised the day of the small things? For they shall rejoice and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel with those 7. They which are the eyes of the Lord, which run to and fro through the whole earth." So they're the eyes of the Lord that run to and fro through the whole earth. But this is what I wanted to get. This is Zechariah chapter 5. It says, "Then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roe." So Zechariah said he lifted up his eyes, and what he seen was a flying roe. So we have to remember during this time there was nothing in the air flying. So it couldn't be a plane, couldn't be a helicopter. These things, so-called, wasn't invented yet, right? So he seen something that was flying. So whatever it was that was flying, it's a vehicle of some sort. You could say it's a spaceship, a UFO, whatever you want to say. But at the end of the day, it's a vehicle of some sort that was flying. Now, what he said it looked like a flying roe. So it probably was, shaped kind of like a cigar, or like they say a TikTok or whatever. You got videos of TikTok of UFOs or cigar-shaped UFOs. It looked like a flying roe, or like a roe, like an old scroll when it's rolled up. Picture that flying. So he actually seen this thing flying. This is complete evidence in the Bible of a UFO. Now, I know most scientists, when they're trying to relate the Bible to UFOs, they go to Ezekiel, and they go to Ezekiel will, but that's not the only place where we see UFOs. Like I said, we're going to see it through the New Testament, Old Testament. We see it all through the Bible. There's a lot more. So he said he beheld a flying roe that he seen. This is literally what he seen, a flying roe. And he said unto me, "What seest thou?" And I answered, "I see a flying roe." So the angel said, what seest thou? He said, "Man, I see a flying roe. And the length thereof is, so now he's going to the length, 20 cubits. So you could do your research and look up what's 20 cubits. You could translate that to inches or feet. How many feet is 20 cubits? And you could really see how big this thing was. And the breadth of it, 10 cubits. So the length, and then you got the width of it was of 10 cubits. Then, which is kind of like a roll shape. Yep. Then said he unto me, "This is the curse that goes forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth should be cut off as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth should be cut off as on this side according to it." So this is saying that this flying roe, this vehicle that he actually seen, he said, "What is it?" He said, "This is the curse." So are you so anxious for the so-called aliens, which really are the angels and the Lord Yahweh Shai, to come back? No. If you haven't been righteous, stealeth, curse, swear, you're going to be cut off. They're coming back to bring destruction. That's why you have the second death of the earth, which is according to the Bible, called the second death, by fire and brimstone. They're coming back for complete destruction. He's coming back angry. That's why I said he should be revealed with his mighty angels in 2 Thessalonians, and they should take vengeance. So this is the curse. So now we're kind of getting a profile of these chariots, these UFOs. What are they doing right now? They're going to and fro through the earth. They're the eyes of the Lord. Okay, so we know what they're doing now. We know what they are, their vehicles, and we know who's controlling them, and now we know what they're coming back to do. So look, just that simple by reading the Bible, all your questions can be answered. Here's chapter 6, since I just see this, Zechariah chapter 6, and I turned to lift up my eyes and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between 2 mountains, and the mountains were mountains of brass. So out of these mountains there came 2 chariots. The word chariot means vehicle, so he's saying there came 2 vehicles out of these mountains. Of course they're flying, and then that's when it goes into the first chariot was a red horse, the second was a black, then you got the third white, and the fourth grazle and bay horse. And you could go into that, and this relates to Revelations 2 when it speaks about the 4 different horsemen. But I'm not really getting into that one right now. Second Kings chapter 2. This is a famous story too right here. This is 2 Kings chapter 2. I think it started at verse 1. If I remember correctly. Yeah, I think we're starting at No, 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. It says, and it came to pass when the Lord would take up Elijah to heaven by whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilead. And Elijah said unto Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord has sent me to Bethlehem. And Elisha said unto him, as the Lord liveth, and as my soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they went down to Bethlehem. So, this is Elijah and Elisha, right? And the sons of the prophet that were at Bethlehem came forth to Elisha and said unto him, knowest thou that the Lord would take away thy master from thy head today? And he said, yeah, I know it. Hold ye your peace. So the sons of the prophet is telling Elisha that the Lord is going to take Elijah. So now we got this whole thing about, you being beamed up. That's another thing that goes with the UFOs. They shine a light on you, and they abduct people, and they beam up. This is an abduction in the Bible. This is an alien abduction in the Bible. But it's not really aliens. It's the Lord and the angels. Because that's what it says. It says the Lord will take Elijah. So he's saying, he's warning them. So they already know that this is going to happen, showing that during these times, they knew of the chariots. They knew of the UFOs, and they believed in them to be real things. So he's saying, look, you're going to get taken. You're going to get abducted. Elijah's going to get abducted. Right here, let me get this before it falls off my head. Which one is that? What is that? 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. It's right on the top of my head. I believe it's 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. It's 17. Do I got it right? Yeah. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 17. It says, then we which are alive and remain should be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. So this is another example of abduction. It says those which of us is alive. So 2 Thessalonians, which is past this, but it says when the Lord comes back, he's going to destroy everything. Everything's going to get destroyed from the vengeance. But those which are alive and remain, they should be caught up together with them in the clouds. Meaning, we already explained what these clouds are. Meaning, they're going to be abducted. They're going to be translated up into these clouds where they're going to meet the Lord, where they're going to be with the Lord. And that's why we're doing this work that you see me doing right now. That's true salvation. Physical, spiritual, mental salvation all together right there. Back in 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 4, it says, Elijah said unto him, Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord has sent me to Jericho, and he has said, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they came to Jericho, and the sons of the prophets that were at Jericho came to Elisha and said unto him, knowest thou that the Lord will take away thy master from thy head today? So they all know that this is about to happen. And he answered, yeah, and I know it. Hold ye your peace. And Elijah said unto him, tarry, I pray thee here, for the Lord has sent me to Jordan. And he said, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And they two went on. So Elijah was telling Elisha to stay here. Just tarry here and hold your peace. But he was like, no, I'm going with you. Right? Here, let me get to the point though. Verse 11, it says, so they went, and now they're kind of going back and forth with each other talking. Verse 11, it says, and it came to pass as they still went on and talked, and behold, there appeared a chariot of fire. So while they're talking, going back and forth, there appeared out of nowhere a chariot of fire. So we know you have to look up the words. The word means vehicle. So there appeared a vehicle of fire. What is that? It's not a plane. It's not a drone. It's not a helicopter. What is it? What is it that appeared in 2 Kings chapter 2? That's called a chariot of fire, a vehicle of fire. That's what you call a UFO. That's exactly what you call a UFO today. But it's a chariot. They say the aliens are riding spaceships. That's what it is. It's angels in spaceships. A chariot of fire. The horses of the fire imparted them both asunder. So this ain't just a cloud. This is something that could part them apart. Physically pull them apart, which it did. So it's showing you that these are real things with real power. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. So he went up by a whirlwind into heaven. He went up so fast into heaven, but he really went up into this chariot of fire that appeared. That's what he went up into. He beamed up into it like a whirlwind, super fast, into heaven, into the skies, where it was at. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariots of Israel. So who do these chariots belong to? Now we got another question answered. Well, who are they coming for? Who do they belong to? They belong to Israel, the true Israelites on this earth, on planet Earth. That's who the chariots are coming for, and that's who they're for. The chariots of Israel, which translates to the vehicles of Israel. So what are the vehicles of Israel? What you would call a UFO, and the horsemen thereof. Who are the horsemen thereof, of the chariots? This is talking about the angels, which you call aliens today, but they're angels. And he saw him no more, and he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in two pieces. So what happened is Elijah got abducted right in front of Elisha. In today's terms, Elijah got abducted right in the front of Elisha. He actually seen this. They documented it. It's in the Bible today, the #1 selling book to this day. Alien abduction, right there in the Bible. 2 Kings chapter 2. So, you got to thank the Lord for giving us the understanding of it. But all you got to really do is read and, pray to the Lord that he opens your mind up to understand these and obtain to good counsel. I think that's Proverbs chapter 1. You got to obtain to good counsel that also teaches us these things, that help us learn these things. This is 2 Kings chapter 6. Verse 16. It says, and he answered, fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. So, they kind of got surrounded. They're kind of surrounded right here. But they're like, look, fear not, because even though you can't see it, those that be with us, the chariots, are more than those that be with them. Just like if you had thousands of jets in the sky, you might kind of get scared. They come in to bomb or whatever location you at. Let's just give a scenario. They come in to bomb you. You kind of be like, you got to kind of have that faith and be like, look, don't even fear. Even though Esau got thousands of fighter jets in the sky, those that be with us is more than that be with them, because the chariots are up there. The chariots are innumerable. There's thousands, millions of chariots up there. You just can't see them because they cloak themselves. They haven't rebuilt themselves yet, but they there. And that's what he's talking about. Verse 17, and Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee. So he's praying to the Lord. Open his eyes that he may see. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. Give you these precepts, and I'm trying to open your eyes so you can see. And the Lord opened his eyes, opened the eyes of the young man he saw, and behold, let's see what he seen. The mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. So there was chariots, so-called UFOs. When the Lord opened his eyes to see, there were so-called UFOs and chariots all around him. All around them. So it's the same thing. Like, I see chariots. When I'm on the road, I see chariots. Because I know what I'm looking for. And the Lord opened my eyes to be able to see it. Me and one of the brothers, we did a sit down. When we were leaving, we see the chariot flying by. And we stopped there and we looked at it. We confirmed it. We like, is it moving? Okay, is it doing this? Is it a plane? Is it a helicopter? We sat there and looked at it for a minute. But it was an actual chariot that was moving. It was moving little by little. Then it stopped completely. Then it kind of, stuttered around, and then move a little bit more. We like, okay, that's a chariot. Because the Lord open our eyes, just like in this passage, to be able to see them. Now, a lot of people never see chariots, never see so-called UFOs. Why? Because the Lord never opened their eyes to see them. So there's some type of thing that the Lord got, which we don't really understand, where the Lord could open certain people's eyes to see them. And this in the physical sense. And so, and the Lord could quote these chariots to other people that he don't want them to see them. It's a very real thing, man. All right, so yeah, let's jump into that. Very real thing. I'm all through the Bible with it, This is Ezekiel chapter 1. This is what the scientists, they always come to. I'm going to run through it. This is what they come to when they want to, compare UFOs today with biblical sense. Chapter 1. Let's just start at chapter 1. It says, now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, and I was among the captives by the river Kabar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of the king Jehoiakim's captivity, the word of the Lord came expressly into Ezekiel the priest. So Ezekiel was a priest, and the son of Bunzai, in the land of Chaldeans by the river Sabor, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind. So here we go again. Remember, Elijah was taken up by a whirlwind. So I looked, and behold, a whirlwind. This is talking about just a regular wind. A whirlwind came out the north, a great cloud. So now it's not only just a whirlwind. So we got to get sense of the parables. Because somebody is saying, well, it's just the Lord sent a strong wind through. No, this ain't talking about just a wind. Because now it's calling it a great cloud. So now it's a whirlwind, and it's a great cloud at the same time. So imagine a cloud shape, oval, disc-shaped cloud kind of coming very fast, almost like a whirlwind. If you're seeing that during this time, you're not going to say, oh, that's a chariot. Oh, that's a UFO. No, you're going to say it looks like a cloud that's moving like a whirlwind that's coming really fast because it's a blare, because it's moving so fast, right? And a fire enfolding itself. So now we have a fire enfolding in it. And the brightness was about it. So now it's a brightness about it. And out of the mist thereof as the color of amber, and out of the mist of fire. This is clearly speaking of the UFO encounter that Ezekiel had now. Here, let me jump to the point. I think that's verse 16. This is verse 16, straight to the point. It says, the appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl. And they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were the wheel in the middle of a wheel. So it looks like a wheel in the middle of a wheel. What is that? That's what you would call like a disc, a flying saucer today, a UFO, but it's called the chariots of the Lord. So they look like a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Verse 17, this is important. It says, when they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. So that's the main thing they say about a UFO. Like, you don't hear nothing from it. If you do happen to see it, when it flies off, it just goes. It doesn't have to turn like a plane or a helicopter with the nose first to go. It could just go, and then it zigzags and jump over here, jump over there, jump over here, jump over there. There's
a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS, though, is Is it? That is on us, man. Well, if there's like rotating. It's rotating.
Like he said, there was a whole fleet of them. You know, that's the salvation of Israel. Just like in 2 Kings, it talks about the chariots of Israel. You know, there's multiple of them. And then he said, look at that thing. It's going against the wind. Just like in Ezekiel 1, it says when it went on all four sides and it turned not. Meaning it didn't have to turn like a plane in order to go a direction that it wanted to go. It just went. And it's called like a whirlwind because it could go against the winds like it was, and it's very fast, like a whirlwind. If they don't even want you to see it, then you won't even see it. That's how fast it can move, like a whirlwind. It'll just look like wind moving. Over there, this is evidence and complete proof of UFO. You can look up. A man took this description and he made a picture of it in real life of Ezekiel's will. So you can look up that and try to find that. Which I did a video on it before. You go through my videos, you should be able to find it. Ezekiel's will. Let's just say something like that. But this is the big one in Ezekiel 19. I mean, Exodus 19. I'm sorry about it. It's Exodus 19. We'll get straight to the point because I'm kind of running out of time. This is Exodus 19, starting at verse 16, right? It says, and it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there was thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mountain, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. So there's always these thick clouds, right? Kind of almost like cloaking, like the chariots cloak themselves in it. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp. There's a lot. To meet with God, and they stood at a narrow part of the mountain. So if you know, here, verse 18, it says, and the Mount Sinai was altogether on smoke. So the whole top of the mountain Sinai was on smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire. So the Lord came down in a chariot, a gigantic UFO. It was so big and it was so mighty because it was the Lord coming down on it that it smoked the whole top of the mountain and put it on fire. Could a regular cloud do that? No, this is a vehicle that's cloaking itself in that cloud. And the smoke thereof ascended, and as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain quaked greatly. So if you look at NASA today, when they get their spaceships, when they get their rockets or whatever, and they shoot them up, and then you got, when they finna shoot that rocket, it's kind of stuck in my head. When they finna shoot it up into space, what does it do? It's quaking the whole ground. There's a whole bunch of fire vapor coming out the bottom. It's like a furnace. It's blowing smoke out. It's blowing flames out, and then it shoots up into the sky. And it quakes everything. Well, that's kind of what this is saying. When the Lord, but this is the Lord coming down, ascending on it, and it's doing all that. Verse 19 says, when the voice of the trumpet sounded low and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice. So now he's talking to the Lord or an angel from this chariot, from this thing that just came down top of the mountain. He's hearing voices come out of it, and he's speaking back, communicating. So what language do they speak? Well, they would have to be communicating in the language that Moses could understand, which is Hebrew. Moses speaking Hebrew, ancient Hebrew, which is what we speak, which is where I gave the Lord praises in the beginning of the video, ancient Hebrew, and the Lord speaking back in Hebrew to them, because that's the Lord's language. He gave that language to us. In verse 20, and the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai, and on top of the mountain, and the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up. Let me get straight to the point. Yeah, that is actually the point. But the point is like, so now we know what language they talk. Now we know what language they speak. They was speaking the language Moses was speaking. Moses was able to speak to them. Now we know that they can actually talk from all of these so-called UFOs. They can actually speak to you from all of them, and you actually hear them. So we get more and more and more information. You know, that's a great thing. We get more information. Ain't got that much time, so let me get straight to the point. This is 2 Esdras chapter 13. And there's so much more to that. It would be a lot for me to go through the whole Bible and get all the encounters and stuff like that. You know, Enoch was translated up. Yahushua, Elijah. Here, let me just. This is 2 Esdras chapter 13. So now let's answer the question: what's going to happen when they finally reveal themselves? You know they coming for vengeance, but what's going to happen when they finally reveal themselves and they finally come back? What's going to happen? 2 Esdras chapter 13. And it came to pass after 7 days I dreamed a dream by night. So he's getting a vision of what's going to happen. He's going to tell you. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea. Remember, whirlwind, right? And it moved all the waves thereof. So this wind so great that it moved all the waves. So when this chariot is coming down, it's going to be moving all the waves. It's going to be so big. And behold, and lo, that man waxed strong with thousands of heaven. So that man, so they look like men, you know, but glorious man. But this man waxed strong with thousands of heaven. So remember, Revelation 1 said he comes with the clouds. Thousands of clouds. 2 Thessalonians says he's coming with mighty angels. So he maxed strong with thousands. So how many he coming? He coming with thousands of them. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him, which is just meaning when he's coming back, the waves are going to be trembling. The ground's going to be trembling because that's how big this UFO is going to be. Independence Day. And that's where Independence Day comes from. It comes from this. And whensoever the voice went out his mouth, they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth felleth when it filleth the fire. So it's gonna come back. And you know, like if you get a space capsule coming back into the earth, it's coming back so fast that it's on fire. It's gonna be the same thing. When you hear and you see it, then that fire is gonna come and it's gonna be destroying people too. That's caught up in it. Verse 5, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. So when he comes back, there's going to be a whole bunch of fighter jets, a whole bunch of different armies, USA, Russia, China, Israeli. All these armies are going to come together to try to fight against the Lord. They're going to say it's aliens invading the earth, just like the movie Independence.
We have visual. Roger, Captain Hiller. Continue approach. Mission is to go. Bay 18, sir. Why'd you put it all the way up there? Give me that. Get the ladder down there. Come on. Couldn't leave it on the bottom shelf? Here we go. All right. Coming for you, baby. There she is. What is it, an alien laser? Nope. That's the Oaken laser. Why are they attacking us? For what you wish for. There's the Queen ship. Bombers, prepare to drop. You just had to jinx us.
They were sore afraid, but yet they did fight. Probably bad signal.
We have to regroup and find a new approach. We have incoming!
Cherries. Thousands of them. 2 Esdras chapter 13, he waxed strong with the thousands of heavens, but he's only going to send out one flame one blast of fire, and everything's going to be smelled. I mean, everything's going to be the smell of smoke and turn to dust.
I got you.
And they're going to come together to try to fight against the Lord when he comes back. We're going to see what's going to happen. Right? For the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out to sea. See, they trying to subdue him. And I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. So he's on a gigantic mountain, a gigantic chariot that looks so big that it looks like a mountain. But I would have seen the region or place where the hill was graved, and I could not. So he's trying to see the place that it came out, that the mountain's coming out of. But he couldn't because it's not an actual mountain. It's actually a chariot. It's a so-called gigantic UFO. What today they call a mothership. We call it the fathership. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid. They're afraid, but they did fight. Yet they did fight because they have no choice. They're back against the wall. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand nor held a sword or any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out his mouth as it had been a blast of fire. So he's going to send out a blast of fire, out his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. So they came to fight him. And he said when they came to fight, he sent out one blast that was all mixed together, and it burnt up everything. And he seen nothing after that. He seen nothing but dust and the smell of smoke. He killed everything. The Lord did. A so-called spaceship, a so-called alien invasion, UFO invasion. It's going to be competitive, and they're going to be going back and forth, and the fighter jets are going to be taking some chariots. All them, you got Independence Day, they're going to win at the end and take down the father ship. No, it's not going to be that. He's going to send out one blast and everything's going to be gone. And that's what's going to happen. So, hopefully this has been edifying. The chariots, the vehicles of Israel, the so-called UFOs is a real thing, and it's biblical. And I'm going to leave it there and say salvation to the elect, because this is our salvation, these chariots of Israel, the chariots of Israel, right? Salvation to the elect. Shalom.